Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about those monster storms out west. We have one ongoing right now, but there's still multiple to come, so we're going to be talking about all of that within this video. Also, really just potentially record-breaking cold out west in general, also within this pattern. And then we're going to talk about that potential switch from west to east with that activity and the colder air. There's going to be multiple minor snowstorms for the northeast. We need to talk about that, but also the severe weather in the southeast that we've been talking about for a couple days. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think that that cold will switch to the east from the west at the end of December and into early January? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at that major storm over the western United States, bringing a ton of precipitation to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 states out there. We see that there is some activity up here for the north central United States. We actually had a special weather statement here in northeastern Montana, and that was for very high winds. We've also had this snowstorm moving through the northeastern United States. Likely by the time everybody wakes up, this will pretty much be moved out, but I think there has been some accumulation that has taken place in that region. I will take a look at those amounts in just a moment. Let's zoom into the west here real quickly, and we can see a lot of this energy has really moved on to the western United States, especially here near Washington and northern Oregon, and then also for southern California into Arizona here. This one's a little odd. We don't see that oftentimes. What we're going to do here is actually, let's split this up. Let's go to the northwest, and then we'll go to the southwest, just because I feel like this is such a large area. You can see there's a lot of heavy precipitation ongoing now for Washington and Oregon. Now it's really going to begin to come down the snowfall here for these mountainous regions. You saw this heavier pocket of precipitation move onshore earlier. You see that right there. And then that moves on shore, and it's just now reaching the Cascades. That is going to be a much heavier pocket than what we've been dealing with, and it's kind of band after band like that that's going to lead towards those insane snowfall totals we've been talking about. Other than that, there are some pockets of snow showers, but it's not anything consistent. This is pretty typical with Rocky Mountain snowstorms. We just see precipitation everywhere scattered around. Let's move down to the southwest now. As you can see, there is some precipitation here for our Sierra Nevadas there. But really, as we look at the kind of pipeline of precipitation, it's been increasing over time. It was looking pretty dry, but now we have another band moving onshore. You'll see that develop there. And that is going to be heading towards the Sierra Nevadas eventually. We actually have a even bigger pocket down there, kind of in this region developing. That could head towards the southern Sierra Nevadas as well. Other than that, we've seen a ton of precipitation near Los Angeles and south and even east of Los Angeles as well, which is kind of the driest region of California there, right there in the southwestern corridor. And this has even moved into Arizona, a really big rainstorm there for Arizona, and it's likely going to move into New Mexico as well. On this southern extent of the Rockies, we could see a lot of snowfall coming down here for the mountainous regions of Utah and even Colorado there. We're starting to see that snowfall really come down pretty consistently now by this point as well. This is all just going to continue over the coming days and even a week out plus. So we're going to be seeing multiple storms. And really, you won't even know that it's multiple storms because I don't even think, the first one's going to stop before the second one's moved in. It's just going to be like a train of storms, really, that just doesn't even stop. So you'd really have to pay attention to even know that it's a different storm, really. Now, let's move up into the north central United States here. And as we can see, there was this kind of pocket of snow showers. And this was heavy at times, actually, especially here in North Dakota. You see those blues popping up? That is actually our heavier pockets of snowfall. Again, we had high winds here in northeastern Montana. That's why we had this special weather statement that you'll see pop up there in the yellow in just a second. We gotta wait for it to start over. There it is. That was for high winds as this clipper system is moving through. And we've really seen this snow develop in here over the past few hours. And by the time everybody's waking up, this will probably be more over Canada, if anything. Maybe these regions starting to get some of that, quick snowfall in maybe the middle morning hours, maybe 8 to 10 a.m. or so. Let's call it that. Let's take a look at this snowstorm in the northeast, and this has been an interesting situation. This is that quick snowstorm we've been talking about that was going to take place. We've seen most of the snowfall take place, well, I guess better yet, it's kind of taken place pretty far south there actually as well. This has been the corridor we've been watching this snowfall take place in general. And I would say the southern extent of this, like this region right here, New York City, and some of these eastern Pennsylvania regions and northern New Jersey, those have been more of the surprises within this storm where we didn't expect that as much. We knew New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut would probably get some, as well as Vermont and New Hampshire, but there's been a lot of surprises as well. And as we take a look at some of these totals, let's see. I'll pause it here at the end. Let's get it all the way to the end. Eastern Pennsylvania, 1.5 inches, 1 inch there, 1.8, 1.4, 1.6, 2 there in western Massachusetts. Let's see, 2.3, where's that? 2.3 somewhere south of Mount Pocono, Whitehaven, kind of this area in here. What's it say? Monroe County in Pennsylvania. So I guess it's a more hilly region, but yeah, they did get 2 inches there, it looks like. So anywhere from about 1 inch to 2 inches fell for a lot of these regions that saw this snowfall. I would draw in pretty much this region, just in case it's melted by the morning when you wake up. It seems like this corridor in here received anywhere from about 1 inch to 2 inches, which is pretty interesting. So you might wake up to some actual accumulations that have taken place in that region. Let me know if you live in this region and what it looks like on the ground. I'd be very curious to hear if that is kind of what's actually happened. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to some model guidance. All right, now here we are taking a look at some of that modeled guidance, and we're taking a look here at our European model as of this morning on Christmas Eve. We see that there is some of that storminess up there for the northern plains and the upper Midwest. We see that big storm out west, and we also see this snowfall for the northeastern United States taking place. Let's just move this all the way towards tomorrow morning, Christmas morning, okay? And we do see some storminess trying to take place here for the northeastern United States as well as the Ohio Valley. And we also see that storm out west still ongoing, okay? That storm is going to keep on keeping on, and it's really just going to keep snowing for a lot of those regions overall. Now, the good news here is that for the southeast, at least, you are dry. So at least it's nice down here, right? Still, by 2 p.m. on Saturday, we see a lot of this storminess up here. And actually, if you're up in New England, it could be in the form of frozen precipitation. So we're going to need to watch for some of this freezing rain here in the pink. And also some of this snowfall up here a little bit further north and further east. We see a second storm. Again, remember, I told you wouldn't really feel it moving out and the next one moving in. This one's moving up like this. And this one's moving in like this. And we can see there's just constant precipitation throughout here. You're not going to have a dry spell in between and really be able to tell the moment that you switch from storm 1 to storm 2. It's just not going to happen that way. It's just going to keep on keeping on, like I said earlier on. That was a lot of ons. Now, we can see things actually progressively get worse by the time we're reaching about Sunday, December 26th. We see the second low pressure system is here, probably heading this way, just like our storms have been heading basically all winter long so far, which meteorological winter starts on December 1st, by the way. So when I say winter, that's what I mean. Now we have tons of snowfall up here for the northern regions of this circle, and the only regions that are all rain is basically right here. That's it. If you're north of there, it's pretty much all snow, with the exception of extremely low elevations, maybe. But the cold air is so potent at this point, I don't really think it will be rain. Now, that storm moves out. Here it is. It moved from the west to the east, and now we're seeing more storminess here. Again, it never stopped. This is December 27th, the morning hour. Now, the interesting thing is we could have some snowfall for here, which is a little bit more different than what we've been experiencing, but the jet stream is still like this, which means warm air like this, and the cold air is circling back like this. Okay, so this is where the cold air is located. This is why the rain-snow line is here, and the rain-snow line is here in the east. So if you add a little bit of lines, you can tell where the jet stream is just looking at that. Let's move this forward. Well, actually, you know what? Let's take a look at the temperature anomalies real quick, just so I can show you. So again, just like this. Above normal temperatures in this region, way below normal temperatures in this region. Frigid, frigid air in those regions. Let's continue this on. We'll go towards the next morning. Now, this is the first time we're really seeing anything stop. This is the morning hours of December 28th. It's going to be a Tuesday. We do see some of this snowfall in here still, the Rockies, but we do get a bit of a dry spell here for the West for maybe a day. This is when we begin to see this energy transferring up here, and a frontal boundary is trying to develop somewhere in there, so that cold air is kind of combating that warmth, and that's why we're seeing this instability develop in here, as you can see. We're going to need to watch for that. Let's see if there's any cape yet. Okay, so there's a tiny bit, but not enough to be considered anything significant. But that instability is starting by this point. Now, eventually the warm does win, and we know this because those storms are moving northward, which means the southern wind is actually what's shoving the storminess to the north. So the warmth is stronger than the cold right now, but we see this right here. This is actually going to be a stronger cold front developing that will win out, I think. At this point, that is what I think will happen. So let's continue this on. And by this point, finally, we've seen a lot of this storminess end for the West, by the way. It's not as bad as it has been. So by the end of December, we will be slowing down a little bit compared to what we're seeing now. But there still will be, some storms here and there. We will talk about those as they hit. Okay, now by the 29th, this is when we do see some of that cape develop. This convective available potential energy. And if you look at the scale down here, we get to 1,000 in the greens. The 1,000 mark, which I would say is about there, is what we're generally watching for. So I would say probably only these areas is where we have 1,000 plus. You don't need 1,000 cape, but that really helps with some stronger storms developing. And another important factor that we'll take a look at here is going to be if I can find it here. I shouldn't have done that. That probably messed up the screen for a second. Hold on. I can find this, I promise. Let's see if I can. Here we go. I'm going to have to move it down again. Oh, that's probably so weird looking. Okay, here we go. So there's tons of shear. This is another important thing. Anywhere in here has significant shear. So if we see thunderstorms or frontal boundaries develop in this region, we can expect potential wind-driven severe weather and also potential spin-up tornadoes in thunderstorms over this red region. Thankfully, usually it's pretty rare to see the highest cape match up with the highest shear, because it's just different air masses that cause these things to become elevated. But on this particular frame, there is kind of some higher shear or higher cape in that blue circle. So we would be watching, in this instance, this is 141 hours out. So this, you can't really, you can't dive this deep into it and expect it to be perfect. But if this was correct, this model run, you'd be looking at the western half for the biggest impacts where that highest cape is. That's just generally how it works. All right, enough of that. Let's move on. That severe weather potential moves out as kind of the trough moves in a little bit. We can see the jet stream looks more like this. So that means that cold front, we've watched it kind of move like this, and that's what generally forced out the warm air. And again, we see a jet stream that looks something like this. It's not too strong, but we do see some of that cold air forcing this way, just like that. And we do see some of this warm air redirecting to the west, which is kind of the opposite of what we've been seeing and a lot of people have been hoping for. That's the 31st. Let's move this on, and we see a little bit of a warm-up. It tries to go back to something like this a little bit, not quite as potent as it has been. Again, the warm air heading up like this, cold air heading down like this. That's how the balances work. That's January 1st, but by January 2nd, we see, again, a lot of storminess develop here along a frontal boundary, but we see a massive trough now in the east. So this isn't a subtle pattern. This is a very aggressive trough and ridge pattern where we see the warm air redirected. Like I said before, we see a high pressure system here blocking that. Okay, that's what we're seeing. Now let's see if there's any cape. I haven't been able to see this far out yet. because as of yesterday, we could not see this far out. So there isn't. So I think really there isn't as much severe weather threat in early January as there is in that kind of later December timeframe. There might be a tiny bit. That's what my general thoughts are right now. And it kind of stays that way through the end of the model run. This is going to be heading in, I would say January 2nd into January 3rd, heading into January 3rd. We still see this strong trough in the east. Now, unfortunately, this only occurs in the longer range. We see this happen at the very end of the model run, which does unfortunately lower my confidence in this happening. We need to watch it. There is a possibility. Probably the odds are better than not, but barely, if that makes sense. So we will be watching for that. I'm not very confident in this. You shouldn't be very confident in this. I am optimistic that this could take place, and I feel like that's how you should feel as well, but I can't tell you how to feel. You can choose how you feel. Now, we have a low-pressure system here as well at the end of the model run, which is pretty interesting, bringing snowfall to Texas and New Mexico. Kind of reminds me of some of those storms we saw later in the winter, last winter. We will watch this situation as well. Last winter, this would head something like this and just bring total crazy wintry mess to that region. That's what we saw a lot of last winter. It'd be interesting to see if we can get in a pattern that supports that. Hopefully not, because I remember that actually impacted Texas terribly, if I remember correctly. So we will be watching all these situations very, very closely. Here's the total snowfall through the model run. I've been updating you guys on this pretty much daily. Now, we do see a fair amount in here, generally 2 to 6 in the blues, maybe 6 to 10, maybe about 12 here in these little pink regions, but nothing much there. We do see a lot up here for the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. Again, these pink regions are going to be generally, and this is over 10 days, by the way, but that's going to be about 12 to 24 inches or 1 to 2 feet, which I would say is a fairly significant amount of snowfall. It's mostly out west here that we're watching very, very closely. So let's go ahead and actually zoom into the west real quickly. I've been updating you guys on this daily, like I said. We have a maximum of 194 in here somewhere, which is a little bit more than the 170 or so we saw yesterday. So this is looking a little more amped. We see 96 there in the Sierra Nevadas, but that's not the maximum in there. Somewhere in there, there could be more. I'm just pointing out the maximums on screen here, 67.9 there. So that is pretty interesting. Let's see if we zoom into the southwest if we can get more. Yeah, so in general, plenty of 80s and 90s in here, but we'll need to watch that fairly closely. Let's go back to the western view. So overall, 100 inches plus is possible for California, Oregon, Washington. I've been saying this basically daily. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada. In general, all these states have the potential for 100 inches plus in their mountainous regions, respectively. So pretty interesting. That's what happens when you have back-to-back-to-back major monster snowstorms. Obviously, nothing can stop it from being just insane snowfall totals when you're seeing that much cold and that much storminess in one 10-day period. So we're going to be watching this closely. It's been interesting tracking this and just seeing it unfold. We're beginning to get into this pattern that we've been talking about for about a week, and now we get to see it play out and see how things do play out. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. For today's confidence tab, we are at a 4 out of 6 still. I talked about things at the very end of the model run that made me feel not so confident, and that's why we feel that way. For today's patron, I let the day I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry LePan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Marcus Conley, Noah Harley, Michael Kudelas, Catbite, Charles Dennett, Cindy Klein, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Colisi also. For our channel members as well: Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox also. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.